Hello, patrons. It's Monday, April 18th, and this is your Cup of Jones. Hey, everybody. Welcome to my desk. Not too far from where we shot the last Cup of Jones. Moved over just a little bit. Had to push the couch to the side. Usually the couch is right here. I can kick my feet up on it and cut all of the Easy Allies videos. This is where I cut reviews and the podcasts. And, of course, Cup of Jones, which I'm going to cut immediately after shooting this. So there it is. That's my desk. Very exciting. We're 3 days away from our 1 month anniversary. 4/21/2016 will be 1 month after when we launched Easy Allies. And we just hit 37,000 a month on Patreon and above. So that's kind of an interesting mark, 37,000 in 1 month. That's incredible, and as much as I would love to take credit, and as much as I'm sure all the allies would love to take credit, that dollar amount, none of us are patrons of our own Patreon, so all of that is you. That's an incredible accomplishment that all of you have done, and that's what I like about posting this exclusively on Patreon. Is when I say all of you, I literally mean that. The only people that can see this are patrons. So 37,000 a month, well done. Tim asks, when the Easy Allies homepage is up and running, could you add a page where you list all the hard and software you use? Good question. I'll bring that up to the allies. Yeah, that'll probably be an information maybe, if on contact information or something. But something I hadn't thought about. Good idea. Ben says, have you guys considered adding additional sponsorships from other companies? Yes, those are coming. I wanted to focus on getting our shows done, make that the priority, but I'm actually going to start talking to people this week about that. So thank you for noticing that we need those, and those are coming. Jonathan asks, won't you guys make a promotional video for the Easy Allies? Yeah, otherwise known as a channel trailer or a show trailer. Yeah, we need to do that, and we can do that now because we have we don't have an episode of the D-Files yet. We don't have a trailer or an episode of retrospectives. We do have an episode of everything else. So if we want to make a promo showing all of the different types of shows and streams that we can do, we finally have all that footage, so we can actually do that now. So a very well-timed question. Michael wants to know, do you guys ever see yourself partnering with a bigger company again in the future? Probably not, Michael. Probably not this year, probably not in the near future. I can't speak for the whole team, but this is my show and I can speak for myself. Probably not. Attack on Waifu is curious, have you considered hiring 4 people full-time and giving them a comparative salary to their GT salary? We've had lots of people over the last week especially, but since we launched, very curious, cautious, and concerned about how we set up our finances and how much all of us are getting paid, how much time we have to devote to this, how serious we are about this individually. And as I've said many times, I can't speak for the whole rest of the team, but I can say that morale among the allies is really high, and everybody's really excited about this. And that is definitely something that we have considered. Pretty soon we're going to be announcing, which among us are full-time. I mean, I'm technically full-time. I can afford to be full-time. All I've been doing over the last couple weeks is just working on Easy Allies and, feeding myself and sleeping. But we are transitioning into having a couple of people working full-time that can sustain the rest of us. The problem is when I see a lot of people doing math, there's so many things to consider. A lot of things to consider that we haven't even implemented yet, like health insurance and other fun things like that you need to think about when you run a business. So there's lots of numbers, the most important number being savings. We have to save money for unexpected travel expenses, unexpected events, unexpected equipment breaking, unexpected problems with, maybe we need to hire somebody because, somebody gets sick or somebody has, goes on vacation or somebody gets married or, there's a lot of things to factor in to really hike that number up to think of like how much you would need to run a business. Douglas Giles is on the attack with 3 questions. You wouldn't be able to have everyone go back full-time working within the money you've been receiving from Patreon, so my question is, what stretch goal is it for everyone to work full-time again? Several people have asked this. I think about 10, maybe a dozen people on the comments of the last Cup of Jones have asked this. Probably like $200,000. I'm not saying that officially, but you can start getting in the ballpark. Again, not official. Nothing's official until you see it pop up on Patreon. But and I don't think through Patreon we would ever get to that number. I mean, maybe someday. Who knows? Patreon is relatively young, so who knows what they could do? Who knows what their funding limits could be? So many years from now. But right now, it's just not the way the system's going to work. Not something we're thinking about. It's tied into basically how our old enterprise was run, being a part of a big business, and that's what none of us want to work on right now. We want to do something different. So we can do something different on a smaller amount of money, but it is different. It might seem weird, might seem scary, but in the long run, it's going to be great. Would you consider be able to incorporate a system that relied on views for money again? Not if I don't have to. Do you guys have other revenue streams aside from Patreon? For example, are the halftime sponsors just large patrons included in the total on Patreon, or do sponsors provide non-Patreon revenue for the group? We have other revenue sources. I don't ever want to give you guys an exact total because that's for us to figure out on our end. You can already see the total, right there plastered on Patreon on our profile page. Yeah, we do have revenue streams. We will have more revenue streams. Those revenue streams will grow in revenue. So don't worry about us. We're fine. Bridget wonders, is it possible for you guys to inform us of your intended posting schedules for shows? That is something we will definitely add to the website. Right there on the front page, we want to have a schedule that has Twitch, that has events coming up, that has when shows are going to be published, that has embargoes for reviews and all sorts of stuff. So when the website is coming, it'll have all that. Brian wants to know, my only question, will we be seeing merchandise, not just Easy A on it, but also show-specific merchandise? Yeah, Brian, we're going to be changing our merchandise a lot. We already have. We've come up with some memes from some of our shows, but we're going to be adding stuff. We talk about merchandise all the time, so hopefully in the future we'll be updating you on different types of shirts when they're going in and out of the store, so you can pick something up if we have something for one of our shows. Mango wants to know, where do you see Easy A 1 year from now? More partnerships, more events. Hopefully we get to do Game of the Year. We missed like 2 months of doing reviews, so hopefully we can pick that work back up. And partying. I mean, 1 year from now will be our 1 year anniversary, so partying a lot. Joseph asks, is there any chance that Huber and Bossman are going to continue with the betting specials? Definitely. Bets have already continued on GT Time. Bets have already, picked up just when we're walking around shooting stuff. I know that they are pumped to do that. I know that the fans have actually started charting their bets online, so there's some place you can go to chart that stuff. Maybe one of you will be kind enough to post that in the comments. But yeah, betting continuing, definitely. It's actually bad because it's an addiction, and we don't want to, condone betting and all that. Just personally, I want to put that out there. But yeah, betting definitely continuing. Freeze says, I don't know if a stage would really benefit you guys. Valid point, Freeze. Definitely something we've thought about, but it will. And it's actually today's editorial, so we'll get to that point. Xavier asks, do you know if Tabletop Escapades can be longer? I don't think so. We shoot it all in one chunk and then split it up throughout the month, so that would be physically impossible. That would be very tiring. I've seen these guys at the end of a tabletop shoot. They've already done 2 already, and they're pretty greasy, so I don't know. Maybe if a lot of people want that, we can maybe work that out, but I wouldn't see us implementing that anytime soon. Finally, Isaac asks, do you see editorial journalism as a mission-critical pursuit for Easy Allies? Isaac, I like that wording. That is definitely our mission-critical pursuit. It's real simple. Mission-critical makes it sound more serious than it is. We're just going to talk about games. The big shows that we're doing are going to kind of be more conversational. Yeah, we definitely want to get word out there about what games are good and how we feel about games, and we want to talk about news and talk about things that are happening in the industry. So that's going to be our focus. If we have time more for big shows and big, meaning like live shows and huge partnership shows, and a lot of partners are really doing a lot of exciting things in the industry. People that you never thought would work together are working together. So we'll get to that point. We'll get to kind of the more sketch type stuff that we were doing before. The Final Bossman sketch, the Huber hype sketch, the not funny GT sketch. So I could see that in our future, but for right now, mostly talking about games. So that is it for feedback. Let's talk about Easy A. First of all, I don't know if this was clear. I saw a couple of people messaging me that wanted to know how to get on the show if they ask a question. I don't answer 100% of the questions, just the ones that I think are relevant to what's going on right now. If I don't ask you a question, maybe throw it in there again the next episode, and then it might bubble to the surface and I might get to it. Yeah, leave them in the last episode of the show. So if you see an episode and you want to ask a question and it's the latest one to come out, drop a question there in the comments and I'll get to it as soon as I can. First episodes of Huber Syndrome and Frame Trap are live. Huge congratulations to Mike Huber and Ben Moore. Those shows are going to get better. Those shows are going to sound better. Those shows are going to look better, much like all the other stuff that we've been doing. But they've taken a lot of responsibility to produce that stuff on their own. Ben specifically has taken on a ton of responsibility between Tabletop Escapades and between doing Frame Trap. So I've yet to be on Frame Trap. I've yet to guest star on Huber Syndrome, but I'm looking forward to it. So thank you guys for putting that together, and thank you guys for supporting them. We just started another video series I'm really excited about. It's where I play Pokemon for the first time and then sit down with Kyle Bossman every week and talk about my adventures, talk about the Pokemon I've caught, talk about what I've named them, talk about what I think about the game, and exploring this franchise that I've never played before, actually, in my entire life. Even for 5 seconds. I've never picked up a controller and played a Pokemon game before. So I love starting a franchise for the first time. It's why I like doing retrospectives. So I hope you enjoyed the series. If you don't like Pokemon and you don't want to watch, that is fine. But if you don't like Pokemon, you might enjoy it because I didn't, care for Pokemon for a long time, outside of just appreciating it from afar. And I've really enjoyed the game so far. So if you're curious why, check it out. Mike Damiani posted a second update about the D-Files on Patreon, and I've already started production on the retrospectives. And so outside of those two things, which are still in production, all of the other stuff that was on our Patreon originally is up and running. We've done at least one episode of all of our other shows. So thank you guys for being patient for some of the things that took a little bit longer than others. And thank you obviously to all of the allies for working hard and getting your shows out. And they will get better and better, and you will influence them more than you know. Just leave comments on all the posts that we do here on Patreon, and we will implement your criticisms into the show. A lot of people asking about E3. We are definitely going and covering E3. Probably the same amount of time that we did last year, just like all day madness, sleep deprived, hanging out in the garage watching all the press conferences. We'll have more details once we know what everyone is doing. We've heard, about some press conferences and some events, but we just want to make sure we know all of the events before we announce what we're doing to cover those events. So need a little bit more info, and then we'll get you guys more info, and then get your feedback on what you'd like to see us to do during E3, because we're, doing E3 for you, for our patrons. So we're curious if you would like to see our coverage change in any way from what we did last year. So as always, you can ask questions here on Cup of Jones and you'll get answers. So Freeze, your friend and mine on Patreon, said, I don't know if a stage would really benefit you guys. And I can see that perspective. You might be right. We don't know how the Easy Allies are going to operate in an office until we put the Easy Allies in an office. And so I thought, I was getting ready to answer that question, and it seemed like a really long answer, and I was like, I think that might be the editorial for this week. Because, it's a personal topic to talk about, starting a business at home, to have people come into your house. It's one thing for a group of people to move into some place and then establish that as a business, and it's another thing for, everybody just come on over to my house and we'll all play games. We haven't done a ton of stuff at my house. We shoot the podcast on Tuesday nights. Right now, Bloodworth is coming by once a week. I started Red Dead Revisited last week, if you haven't checked that out yet. And so every now and then I will stream stuff from here. But I'm working from here. I'm basically working on, setting up stuff, business stuff, and talking with the guys, and, doing general business stuff here in the office, in the stage, in the studio. But I was initially nervous when we were going to set up the studio in here. I remember my wife said something very specific about, just playing devil's advocate here, but you have this new opportunity, you got let go from one company, and now you can explore a bunch of new options. Do you really want to not only, get invested in something like this heavily, but just do it, in the house. And I think one thing that's really benefited the whole scenario is that this is a detached room. So this room is detached from my house. So it is nice to have it all in one area. It's definitely, I feel like I'm leaving the studio when I, lock everything up at night and, go over to the house. Granted, it is like 15 feet away, but so the actual location of things and having the guys over isn't that bad, but specifically talking about isn't that bad is great. So having the guys over has actually been a joy so far, and it keeps getting better. Even having them come over for 7 to 8 hours and record tabletop escapades. It's fun to be inside working on something or playing Pokemon for the segment I'm doing with Kyle, and hearing all the guys laughing or screaming or shouting or just having a blast playing games and talking to you about them and recording them and putting up shows. So I love it. I don't have to commute, so that's the greatest thing. But specifically, talking about a studio and talking about a stage and talking about an office. And I don't know how many of you have worked in an office before. I didn't really adapt well to the office environment. The first office I ever worked in, my dad is an accountant, and I interned for them, did lots of box management, lots of files and stuff like that. And it definitely is a culture. You eat breakfast and lunch and dinner at very specific times. It's kind of like high school, where you really have to find a specific, friend group if you really want to hang out with people or you want to make friends. If you want to work your way up in a company, you have to get to know people and you have to be friends with people. People are going to promote somebody they don't know. Unless you get lucky. I mean, I'm sure it's happened before. But anyway, just the office lifestyle is different. And one of the things, certainly how we've set up Easy Allies is different from a lot of things that we've done before. And I like different, and different is fun, and different is rewarding, and different is cheap in a lot of ways. In how, we've set up and been very like economically smart about how we've done things. But we do need an office. I think it'll benefit us in the long run, and I wanted to explain why. The sense of purpose that you feel when you're in a space that is designed and built for that purpose. So what really excites me is not just shuffling over to another company or moving into another building, but really assessing like what do we need? What do we need from the ground up? Let's not put anything in this space that we don't need. There are things in this room that I need because they're my stuff. This is my house. So the line is kind of blurry between like, well, that's my stuff, and no, that's Easy Ally stuff. And like those Disney Infinity figures over there, that's my stuff. There's no question. So if you're going to move stuff into an office, I'm really excited about, sitting down with the guys and talking at length, for hours, about what we want our set to be, about what we want. Do we want to have multiple sets? Do we want to design a big space that we can, shoot shows in lots of different directions from lots of different angles, and really be true to ourselves like we have during this entire process? Like a lot of Easy Allies was born from, not, oh, we've worked for this company for so long, so let's try to adapt the ideals of this company and this brand to kind of who we are and what we want to do. But the whole thing is who we are and what we want to do. Every time I work on something, I'm really excited because I really believe in it, and I can take the time to make it as good as I want it to be, and I can be really patient with things, which you can't really do before when you work, in the office environment that we had before. So I'm really excited about building a new office environment from scratch, and like we've talked about before, not necessarily having all 9 people there working full time, but having 2 or 3 or hopefully 4 people there working full time every day. So they go there Monday through Friday, they're on weekends, obviously, if, shoots or events or crazy things happen, like developers come from out of town and they want to play a game. But, which brings me to another point that's really important to have an office, which is guests and just general business. Like if, Shuhei Yoshida is coming into town, I don't want Shu over to my house. I love Shu. Shu can come over to my house anytime he wants, but like Shu deserves an office. Like Shu, you need to roll out the red carpet, and I don't want to roll the red carpet down my driveway for Shuhei Yoshida. Like you need an office space where you can meet. And you came into town and you drove there, and I was at my house, but now I'm here and we're meeting at this midway point, and that's where we do business. And there's just something about being in a space and doing work in a space that is built explicitly for that purpose. I really enjoy the work I've been doing for Easy Allies because I get to work at home and I'm getting a big kick out of that. But I think it would be better for for growth. It would be better for morale. I think it would be better for the speed of us building the business if we actually had a dedicated space that was our own, and could continue to be our own if we could still be supported the way we are now. So that concept is really exciting. I'm sorry that concept is $13,000 away. We're going to do all we can to adjust finances in or around Patreon to possibly get ourselves to that point faster. But we appreciate your support, getting us there. So hopefully that clears up, the whole office thing. I got to be honest, I'm not in a rush to get back in an office. I do like being in the garage. I've seen a lot of comments from people that are like, no, don't get an office because the garage is cool. The garage is actually where you guys hang out and you guys play games. And I dig that. And I wonder if we can kind of recapture that vibe on a stage or something similar to that. Or like I said, something that really speaks from who we are. I don't want to have to adapt what Easy Allies is to the garage just because we're in this room. I want to explore what Easy Allies could be, what kind of shows we could do if, we really get to design the space and not have other people that Viacom hired or Defy hired that come in. They're like, here's your stage, thunk. So, excited about that. Gonna work real hard for that. That's basically the trajectory that Easy Allies has right now. Hopefully we can get to that studio. It'll be really fun. All sorts of new shows we could do. I think it's pretty much impossible, but my initial dream was to get there. Once we blew past 30, I was like, I wonder if we could get our office before E3, but I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. But we can dream. That's what the editorial section is for Cup of Jones. It's for my dreams and my hopes. But that is it for this week's Cup of Jones. Thank you guys so much, obviously, for sponsoring. The numbers keep continuing to go up. Like I mentioned before, we're 37 and above, and our patron numbers continue to go up. The comments are really incredible. I want to hopefully have shorter episodes in the future, hopefully shorter feedback sections. Maybe I can encourage you in the long run to maybe only ask questions if you really, really want to know, because you guys all asked just really good questions. I want to get to all of them, but some of you guys are actually getting to the point where you're giving me very specific criticisms about the show. So even though I don't mention some of your comments, I will implement that or try to implement it into future episodes of Cup of Jones. So in the interest of not having this episode be one of the longest episodes of Cup of Jones ever, cheers, everybody. I'll see you next Monday. Take care.